Welcome, Cancerians, to the month of August 2018. I'm Megan of North Star Astrology, and this is another general transits reading for those of you born with your sun, moon, and or rising signs in the fourth sign of Cancer the Crab. Now, the month starts out with your ruling planet and or luminary, I think it's called, in the tail end of July 31st on into August 1st in Pisces, the other water sign, which then proceeds to oppose Venus in Virgo in your third house of communications. So from the 9th to the 3rd, you have the ability to emotionally become aware, as I consider this the awareness point, emotionally aware of how you lovingly communicate. Don't go too far within. Well, you won't need to, because the sun in Leo creates a rather flamboyant, but then again, with Venus in Virgo, there's that shyness factor. So with this moon opposing Venus, you will have the ability to lovingly communicate with foreign lands, and albeit more either spiritually and or flexibly and or spiritually, as this is the axis or 180 degree opposition aspect between the conscious mind and the higher mind. Moving right along, on August 3rd, when the moon goes into your 10th house of career in the other cardinal sign of Aries, your cardinal too, but your cardinal water. When the moon goes into the 10th house of the career, public standing, and ego, it then trines Mercury. And Mercury's retrograde at this time being until August 19th. There becomes a moon harmoniously trining Mercury retrograde from the second house of money and what you value in Leo to, so if you should need to sign documents within the career, or like say if your higher up asked you to sign something, you will be able to harmoniously transact any kind of contractual agreements. However, be mindful of this Mercury retrograde. Be sure to cross your T's and dot your I's. Then the last quarter moon occurs in your 11th house of goals, hopes, wishes, and friendships in Taurus at 12 degrees Taurus, 19 minutes. And that's on August 4th when the last quarter moon occurs there. And then the following day, August 5th, Venus shines the moon from your 3rd house now to your 11th house, there's yet another harmonious 120-degree aspect. I like to call it a flowing aspect. And like Pisces, Cancers, you know how to go with the flow because you live in and out of the ocean. And with this loving emotion between your friends and your loving nature already, you also have a very nurturing nature. And with Cancer being on your 1st house cusp, and then the moon over here in Taurus in your 11th house, it gives you that ability to harmoniously nurture and sometimes spontaneously nurture those friendships through communications. Then on August 7th, Uranus, which is now transiting your 11th house of friendships for the next 7 years, actually goes retrograde. And I'm not quite sure how that will affect you. Maybe you will reconcile or re-establish friendships with that retrograde. Old friends might come back to you. As here the sun is in the fixed sign of Leo, and Taurus is the fixed earth sign. And with this 7-year generational transit going through your 11th house of friendships and group activities, you will be able to come out of your shell spontaneously, exuberantly, especially at the beginning of August. And also on the 7th, Mercury sextiles the moon. Once the moon, your ruling planet again, goes into your neighboring sign of Gemini, into your 12th house. So be mindful that you don't completely go within yourself too much or become in any way paranoid. I know the paranoia because my mother has her moon in the 12th house natally. So there's that feeling of you've been slighted for some reason. However, because the moon pleasantly and positively sextiles Mercury retrograde in your 2nd house, so from your 12th to your 2nd house, you now have the ability to tap in, perhaps. This is a point of going within when that moon is in the 12th house. Maybe a little too much, but it helps you be mindful when and if, as it is here, as it were, Mercury's retrograde. But with this 60-degree aspect, it now gives you between, see, 2 signs away between the moon and Mercury, your emotions and how you communicate your values about what you stand for, possibly financially, standing up for yourself, and your right to earn. That's a biggie. And it's a positive biggie, you know? And then on August 9th, Pluto, being that it's transiting your 7th house of others and relationships and significant partners, opposes the moon once the moon goes into your sign, Cancerians. As Pluto is in Capricorn, the moon is in Cancer, Cancerians. And when the moon goes into your 1st house of the self and body, you now embody, or people will see you more moon-faced. You may want to take care of your, like getting a mammogram, as Cancer rules the breast area, nurturing the breast, nurturing, as in breastfeeding the mother of all life. So emotionally, you have this transformational awareness point, as I like to point out, with this 180-degree opposition between your ruling planet in Cancer and, in other words, it's you versus them. You, your emotions, your emotional state of mind, you, or in other ways, us, or them, us, them. That Pink Floyd song, us, and them. So it's you versus them, but in a good sense, this gives you the awareness not only of yourself and how you need to take care of your physical self versus how you can transform and somewhat manifest something to do with or, in other words, solidify a marriage in a very transformational, uplifting way. Then the new moon occurs in your 2nd house of money and what you value at 18 degrees Leo, 42 minutes. Also, at which point the partial solar eclipse happens as well. Also in your 2nd house. And I'm not quite sure what this may do for you, other than the fact that you will understand your purpose here, what you value, how you relate and communicate those particular values despite this Mercury retrograde. Then on August 13th, Mars leaves Aquarius out of your 8th house and enters Capricorn into your 7th house, the first planetary ingress of the month. And relationships you will put much energy into relationships from a very pragmatic and be very assertive. Just don't be too stingy, as Mars in Capricorn tends to be stingy. Then on August 14th, Mars trines the moon. Once the moon goes into your 3rd house in Virgo. And with this very harmonious trine between the action planet versus how you feel and how you communicate. I mean, not how you communicate, how you feel in terms of what you communicate. And it's going to be rather psychic, because you're just as psychic as Pisces. And psychic, but how you emotionally communicate, harmoniously driven to assert yourself within how you emotionally communicate with others, especially your significant partner. Then 2 days later, Mars squares the moon when the moon enters your naturally residing 4th house of the home. This is your naturally residing house, Cancerians. And when the moon is placed, or the placement of the transiting moon occurs in your 4th house, now going into the balanced sign of Libra, then squaring Mars in Capricorn, you may have a bit of a challenge within the home with your significant partner or with others, like dealing, say, for instance, with contractors and being a little agitated. Watch out for that. And remember to always read over and sign documents carefully with Mercury retrograde. If it has to do with some kind of remodeling job, especially with that square. That's on August 16th. Then the first quarter moon happens in your 5th house of romance and creativity. And apparently Jupiter is currently retrograde. I'm not certain about that. I think it is Jupiter. We know Mercury's retrograde until August 19th. However, anyway, with this first quarter moon phase happening at 25 degrees Scorpio, 20 minutes, you now have the ability to emote through your creativity and emotionally treat your romantic partner in a very intensely loving, emanating from the build-up from the new moon now to the first quarter moon, and wait till we get to the full moon. That's your moon. Also on August 18th, Mars sextiles the moon. So from your 5th to your 7th houses, you now have yet another positive 60-degree aspect, short but sweet aspect flow between your ruling planet in its first quarter phase to Mars, the action planet. And you will be able to possibly start first dates, go on dates, attract through the law of attraction those first moments, and you'll want to take your date out in a big way, and maybe spend a little too much with the sun here in Leo in the second house. However, that's not a bad thing. Then Jupiter in Scorpio trines to a 120 degree to Neptune in Pisces. Water, water. Your water as well. You have this beautiful Jupiter trining Neptune. Big luck in romantic endeavors overseas, perhaps, or through a long distance vacation. Very harmonious on August 19th. Then Mercury goes direct on August 19th. Now it's direct, which will give you that much more ability to come out of your shell and communicate more directly. Then on August 20th, the sun trines the moon once the moon goes into Sagittarius. So in your 6th house of work, health, and service given. Yet another harmonious trine, this time from the sun to your ruling planet. Money, harmoniously received. When you now can ask for a raise at work. Or a promotion, and you'll get it. Then, on August 23rd, Mars conjuncts the moon being that this is pretty much the only conjunction of this month in your 7th house of relationships. Notice Saturn here in Capricorn making things solidified for you, but maybe fearful at times and reticent at times. I know, because I've got my Saturn in Pisces natally in the 7th house. And that's not always fun, but it's worth taking the time, father time. Mars conjunct your ruling planet. Be mindful that you're not too brash or impulsive emotionally, as in infatuation or somewhat well, that would be Uranus. Uranus governs infatuations, sudden. This could also mean impulsivity or love at first sight with another. And just be mindful of that. Or outbursts, possible angry outbursts. But being in that it's in the tempered earth sign of Capricorn, you will reflect more loving communication rather than, whoa, And then the sun enters your 3rd house of communications in Virgo. And then on August 25th, Venus trines, let me think here. There's a Venus trine the moon. Oh. Venus is in Virgo. Well, that would be an opposition. So I'm wrong about that. Out here. There. So as it's almost making its way into Aquarius at 5 hours 34 minutes before it goes into the next sign up, your ruling planet trines Venus, along with the change of the sun going into Virgo. And this is yet another very pleasant, harmonious, emotional, but yet tempering, common sense trine for you. Then on the following day, or so, let's see, on August, whoops, I'm just knocking the planets all around. On August 26th, the full moon occurs on, I just said August 26th, 3 degrees, at 3 degrees, that's what I meant to say, at 3 degrees Pisces, 12 minutes. Excuse me. At which point, you now have a figurative opposition. We astrologers do not use this aspect, but figuratively speaking, or metaphorically speaking, having your moon in your 9th house and the sun in your 3rd house of the conscious mind, 9th house of the higher mind, this full moon in Pisces, in its naturally opposing, when there's a full moon, there's always an opposition between sun and moon. Your ruling planet in its fullness gives you that much more psychic ability to tap in to the prevailing trends in terms of if you're an author or illustrator, writer of some sort. I know I have my moon natally in Taurus in my 9th house, and it's awesome there. It's Edgar Cayce also had his moon in the 9th house. Also, Edgar Cayce was a Pisces like myself. Moon in Taurus. However, we're talking about you, Cancer, and having your moon in the 9th house is such a beautiful but yet sometimes annoying factor in that it makes you kind of fear established doctrines, or especially with this opposition, you will feel that you don't want to be indoctrinated to, or in any way brainwashed. You want to be free like a Pisces. You will feel you want to be free like a Pisces. And it's also good for law and higher learning and long distance travels. But I love to share or express to you that this is also the house of the higher mind. And with that, you will feel sort of like a definite strong ebb and flow and fluctuation, like should I or shouldn't I? And it's sort of annoying because I know. And however, it gives you that ability to be free as a bird and fly, perhaps in your dream state. And I'm looking at Gemini on your 12th house cusp of dreams, and Mercury here in Leo. Your dreams may very well be intellectually vivid and creative. And moving right along, Mars on the 27th of August goes direct, which gives you even more of a drive toward actions taken within partnerships and with others. And then finally, on August 30th, Mars squares the moon when the moon goes over into Taurus, into your 11th house of friendships. And with that square, you may have to be mindful, but it won't be a concern too much. It's going to just be a little bit of an emotional challenge. Sudden emotional action needs to be addressed with friendships versus others. And with that, Cancerians, I want to thank you for watching, liking, give me a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you feel like it, and again, thank you for looking up upon the North Star. And by the way, this is my 1-year anniversary with my North Star Astrology channel here on YouTube. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.